Hello everyone, this is Rock Cran. This is another Rock Talk. It's part 2 of Pink Floyd. Today we're going to talk about Dark Side of the Moon, Through the Wall, Through the Final Cut. My last video got cut short, and I'm sorry to anybody who was watching it. I need to edit, but I don't know how to do that on my phone. Sorry. Anyhow, I just started talking about the Dark Side of the Moon. I had given all of the props to, as they deserve, to everything before. But now we're getting into the I don't know what to say. Popular albums, like the ones everybody plays. Like I remember back in the day, Dark Side of the Moon was like the number 3 album of all time, behind Michael Jackson and Carole King. And I understand why. I mean, there's so many good songs on the Dark Side of the Moon. But it was a complete and utter change of direction. At least, as far as I could tell, when I listened to it, I'm like, this doesn't sound like anything from before. And they got Dick Perry in there on sax. I mean, they really evolved their sound on this one. Dave's guitar solos are, phenomenal, and everyone's playing is top notch, but the songwriting, to me, I think, is a little commercial. I don't know. That's what I would say. I would say the songwriting on the Dark Side of the Moon was and is commercial. I mean, the album itself, you couldn't sell the album to a teenager, because it's weird. But the singles, Money, Time, those are on major radio stations all the time. But you can't sell like Breathe to Me and On the Run. You just couldn't have sold those to me without the whole album. Or The Great Gig in the Sky, which is probably my favorite Pink Floyd tune post, the Roger takeover. And that's, Rick Wright's final, awesome performance. I shouldn't say that, because he's great on the next 2 albums too. But between 1968 and 1970, they put out 10 albums. 10 albums of Pink Floyd music. From 1972 to 1980, they put out 4 albums. Now I understand the tours got bigger and bigger, and longer and longer, and the writing process took longer and longer. But it's like Rush in the 70s. 74 to 80, they released 8 albums. 6 years, 8 albums. Pink Floyd is almost the same, man. They put out so much music in the 70s, or in the 60s and early 70s. Jeez, it only took them 4 years to put out 10 albums. Ugh. And 10 albums, I would say they're hit and miss. But there's something great on each one of them. At least something great on each one of them. Saucer Full of Secrets all the way through is awesome. And Piper at the Gates of Dawn all the way through is awesome. Obscured by Clouds, I could listen to that all the way through. More. And you gotta pick and choose. I don't know. But anyways, Dark Side of the Moon is their second real financial success. Because the early stuff was very successful with Sid. They didn't get out of clubs, but they weren't playing arenas, you know. But Dark Side of the Moon, they started playing like bigger shows, and they're really making a name for themselves here in the States. Because this is what's important to an English band, I think. They can get over here. And, yeah, from what I understand, they killed it over here on that album. Played like 200 shows in a year. When they got back home, though, they were exhausted. And they went back into the writing process. And I'll tell you, the next album, to me, it's my third favorite. Wish You Were Here. Just amazing. Just simply amazing album. But of course it's an album. You have to listen to it from beginning to end. Because it starts with Shine On You Crazy Diamond. It ends with Shine On You Crazy Diamond. You have to listen to it from beginning to end. And to me, it harkened back. Well, lyrically, they're singing about Sid, you know, on most of the songs. And musically, it's the four dudes kind of like playing like the old band. And the old band is only 4 years old at this time. It's amazing how much music they put out in such a short time. Well, this is 1975, so it's been 7 years since they put out their first record. And, yeah, I love Wish You Were Here. The title track, is one of the best songs ever written. And, you know, Have a Cigar and Welcome to the Machine. Trying to think what else is on that album. I think that's about it. Shine On You Crazy Diamond. I know there's probably something else in there. But, no, that one is just... And the next one. They're a masterclass in progressive rock. Like, Roger and Rick, they got it together. They're like, hey, you know what? There's a lot of this long form rock and roll going on out there. But it also, you know, it has, like... melody, and you can make many changes in a song, but you can come back to the original root of the tune. And that's when they started to learn that they could do that. It was in the mid-70s. And then their next album, like, a lot of people love this album, and I do too. It's called Animals. It's based off of George Orwell's Animal Farm, and it talks about the 3 different classes of beings, human beings, and you know, it's capped by Roger playing and singing guitar on Pigs on the Wing Part 1 and 2, but in the middle we have Dogs, which is, at one point in my life, was my favorite Pink Floyd song. 18 minutes of Pink Floyd awesomeness and weirdness, but the lyrics just cut right to the bone. Just another sad old man, all alone and dying of cancer. Yeah, just cut right to the bone. And, you know, there's only 5 songs on the album, so they're easy to talk about individually, but to me, Dogs might have one of the best guitar solos ever. And I'm not talking to, like, a technical standpoint. I'm just saying, like, one of the best ever. And then you move on to Pigs. You go to Dogs, Pigs, and Sheep, right? Dogs are the businessmen, pigs are the bosses, and sheep are the people, the regular people. And you get to pigs, and, well, Raj takes the lead on this one, and, well, wouldn't say his voice is the best, but I think it's the best to deliver that message. And again, Dave's guitars are amazing. Rick's keyboard playing is phenomenal. And yeah. Oh, and Nick's drumming, of course. Nick has just been like kind of a side note for me, but over the years, like, I'm a drummer. I've always appreciated his style. I just, you know, he takes a back seat to the other guys most of the time. He just kind of plays along, and for that, I love him. I think he's one of my favorite drummers ever, because he doesn't showboat. He doesn't like try to take the center stage. He lets the truly creative people in front of him create, and then he puts his own stamp on it. Like, listen to Time. His stamp on Time is amazing. Anyways, all his playing throughout, all this weird shit that they're doing. But Animals, Pigs, 3 different ones, is a lot of people's favorite Pink Floyd song, I found out. Because it pokes at high society, rich people, you know. And it's trying to take them down. And it's good. It's a great song. Just when you hear about the making of it, it kind of upsets me. Because there's awesome bass playing all the way through it. And I'm like, Roger's not a great bass player. He's good. He's competent. And then you read, like, oh, Dave Gilmour played the fretless bass and the lead guitar and the rhythm guitar and the lead guitar. You know, it's just like, oh, man. They had a vision for that song, and Roger couldn't play it. So let that sink in. This is the brain behind all of it, right? From 1972 up. And he couldn't play. Anyways, it's not a dig on him. I'm not trying to dig on him, because he's an amazing songwriter. Anyways, Animals, and the next song is Sheep, and I think Rick Wright really takes the lead on this one. I don't think he got a writing credit, but his playing is amazing. Anyhow, Sheep is about, you know, the rest of us, but at the end of it, they rise up and take over and become the new dogs and pigs. Anyhow, now we're to the Wall, and overblown, what would I call it? Pretentious, self-indulgent, and anywhere but my favorite Pink Floyd album. I think, like, I would put, like, their worst album, like Atom Heart Mother, which I glossed over completely because I think it's a piece of shit. There's very few redeeming qualities to that album, but I would put that above The Wall. The Wall is everyone's favorite Pink Floyd album, but not mine, because as an album, I don't think it holds up. There's songs in there, though. Comfortably Numb, oh my god, one of the best songs ever recorded. But I used to know a guy that if he heard it on the radio, his instinctual body function was to puke. And I'm not kidding. And this is in the early 90s. Like, it hadn't been on airwaves forever. You know, just 10 years or so. But it made him physically vomit if he heard Comfortably Numb. So I wish I could remember the guy's name. It's been a long time, though. I used to hang out with him in the early 90s. Only saw him a couple times in my whole life. Anyways, doesn't matter. But that dude, Play Comfortably Numb, he pukes. I think it's Bill, the boy. Or no, the boy. Rob, the boy. That's his name. Because he's like 25 years old and he looks like a teenage boy. Yeah. And, from what I understand, he had like a humongous cock, too. So, he's the boy. Hung out with him a couple times. He's a legend in most of our, the group of friends I had out in California. He's a legend in most of our minds because, the day he got evicted from his house, he took a shit on the floor and wiped his ass with a t-shirt that said, "I fucking hate paying rent here." Just anarchist, perhaps. I don't know. When I was a kid, I looked up to him. Rob the boy. Anyhow, yeah, he couldn't stand Comfortably Numb. Which to me is like, I don't know if the song's any good, but the guitar solos are amazing. And Young Lust is great, but it's weird when you take the songs out of context. Because, they're in the middle of an album and playing it on the radio. They got the bits before and after, like the story bits that are building this whole story of the wall. And, I'm not a fan. But anyways, that's The Wall. I don't like it. When I was a teenager, I absolutely loved it. I felt like an isolated teenager. And, yeah, I wanted to build a wall, and I didn't. Good for me that I didn't build a wall. There's a song by Sting called "Fortress Around Your Heart." It's like the antithesis of The Wall. I mean, he built a wall around someone else's heart. Wouldn't let anyone else in. Circled her with fences and barbed wire. But he comes back and he's like, "Oh man, I was such a bad dude. I'll set the battlements on fire and let you go," Just metaphorically, it's similar to The Wall. Hypothetically, it's the antithesis of The Wall. Check it out. I mean, it's a pop song, but it's such a good one. I mean, it's a pop song, absolutely a pop song, but lyrically, it's fantastic. Anyways, we get to the final cut, which is, I think Roger, he'd run out of steam. Not literally or physically, just he was done with the guys in Pink Floyd. He's like, I don't know how much more I can do with these guys, so this is going to be the last Pink Floyd album. And he wrote it about Margaret Thatcher, and it's very political. I don't understand the politics in Britain, especially not in the early 80s. I had no idea what he was talking about. But there's one standout song. It's called "Not Now, John." The character in the song is about to kill himself, and the phone rings. And he's like, "Not now, John. I've got to get on to this." And the song is wildly racist. But it's got a rockin' beat. It's got, good lyrics, but, you couldn't sing it in public today because, like I said, it's wildly racist. But in 1981, 82, nobody cared. And nobody cares because it's so long ago. Now, I mean, if you want to get the SJW mob turned on Pink Floyd, look at that song. Look at that album. But after that, that's the end of Pink Floyd. 82, done. They're done. And there's one song on that album that Nick Mason doesn't play on. It's called "Two Sons." And that's about, he looks back and he sees the sun going down and then a nuclear blast. But Nick Mason doesn't play drums on that song. I'm trying to remember who does. Vinny Colaiuta or something. And the drums on that song are fucking awesome. But the drums throughout the whole album, all their Pink Floyd albums, every Pink Floyd album has awesome drumming. I don't want to shit on Nick Mason. He just doesn't write anything. I think that's it. He doesn't get a lot of writing credit. So maybe he's not very creative in that area. But when he plays around inside the tunes, he's fucking amazing. But yeah, this is the end of real Pink Floyd. I might do another video about, well, there's only 2 albums by fake Pink Floyd. Well, maybe 3 if you count the Endless River. Yeah, I'll do a rock talk about that. But for now, this is me signing off. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you think your friends would like it, share it with them. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I post a lot. Boom!